Okay. Let's let's bring things back in a little bit.
Yeah.
So on the README for Anubis, you're describing it as a nuclear approach. For anyone
Oh yeah.
who doesn't really know why it's like that, like what, because people could think that's like a what, why would a project describe itself in such a harsh way?
The TLDR is that there are a lot of people that do use things that look like browsers but
Mm,
aren't browsers, and they have completely innocuous reasons.
mm, mm, mm.
And Anubis in its default configuration will block them, and this will make people mad.
What are some examples there?
There was this one, there was this package manager called SPAC, SPACK,
Okay.
that just so happened to have the substring bot in their user agent. And I had a generic catch-all rule that was intended as an example, ended up being load-bearing. Be very careful about how you do examples; end up becoming load-bearing so easily.
Mhm.
Um, and it would give an impossible challenge to anything with bot or crawler in the user agent string.
Uh-huh.
Just looking at the comments, it for this commented out example rule,
Mhm.
I have better comment documentation for this in an upcoming PR. But the challenge is 16, which
Mhm.
the first comment says impossible. It reports it as a difficulty 4 challenge with the comment lie to the operator, and then chooses the slow algorithm to intentionally waste CPU cycles and time. And this is intended to keep very things that advertise themselves as a bot or crawler and aren't otherwise handled by the logic,
Mhm.
to just keep them busy for forever.
By
We have
impossible, do
actually seen a
you?
case where something passes this through sheer luck.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but by impossible, I assume this doesn't mean impossible. I would assume this means like mathematically heat death of the universe situation.
Yeah, I did the probability math once. I don't have the results in front of me, but I concluded that it was more likely that you'd be eaten by a shark while getting struck by lightning twice in a row before that would happen.
I see.
And yeah, it's pretty unlikely.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
it's basically half the reason it's a nuclear response is because there are a lot of browsers out there,
Mhm.
and I'm not able to test all of them. I would
Right.
love to be able to test all of them, but I just can't because there's just so many. And like Pale Moon, that one pre-quantum Firefox fork that has just had like a super rough time with Cloudflare. There's somebody that reported that it wasn't working with Pale Moon, and then
Mhm.
I download Pale Moon on my laptop and it works just fine. So
Right.
it's
But
probably
even
somebody rejecting cookies again.
because like when people think of browsers, like most people are thinking about the desktop browsers where you've got your Google Chromes, you've got your Firefoxes, you've got everything based on those. But then you have to consider the consoles as well, which all have various forms of browsers based on highly outdated versions of WebKit. Um, which is
Oh, not even WebKit.
oh,
Oh yeah, one of the biggest one is Lynx, LANKX or LYNX. I
and
believe they're different projects, but I don't remember.
yeah.
But those are completely from scratch and don't use the word Mozilla in their user agent string, so they're allowed through.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
When I say that I use the word Mozilla in there as a load bearing hack, I mean that it's a load bearing hack.
Right, right. So when we,
Ugh.
what is the default challenge set to?
It is okay. So, in the default configuration, which is what most people use, and what I have to be very careful about ever changing,
Mm-hmm.
is that it will attempt to over and over in a loop with as many threads as your hardware supports. Try to find a SHA-256 sum that starts with 4 leading zeros.
Okay.
Um, this is actually easier than you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, It's very simple to implement. It's trivial to verify because, not only do you count the number of zeros, you also just run the SHA-256 computation with with the nonce that the client calculates.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it matches that and both sides have the right leading number of zeros, the client's fine. You sign a cookie, you give it to the client uses it in the future. Anubis sees that. It's like, oh, you're good. Thumbs up emoji.
Mm-hmm. So
and lets it through.
So on a regular, normal, you bought like some random Dell PC, how long should that take to happen?
So the fun thing about proof of work is that it's actually proof of luck.
Okay.
And that, like, fundamentally, a SHA-256 hash with its SHA-256 hash computed with a challenge value and a number that keeps incrementing is the results of it are effectively random.
Right.
I mean, they're not random, but from a game theory standpoint, you can basically model them as random.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be. So I have seen cases where it's been solved in 47 milliseconds,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been seeing cases where it has taken like an hour to solve. In a case where someone was terminally unlucky, but they were also running it on a Power Mac G5.
Right. If you were to graph how long it took things to happen, it would
P95
look like a bell curve,
that I've
probably.
seen is like 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that don't have graph scrying abilities, the P95 is the 95th percentile, or like about 95% of the time, it's 3 seconds or faster.
Right.
Yeah. There's some upcoming work to make that faster and use hardware better, because something that I thought would be fast wasn't actually as fast as I thought it would be.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what I'm doing with front-end JavaScript. I'm learning along the way too. I thought that if you used web crypto, that it would jump directly from, like JIT JavaScript code to highly optimized cryptographic code in the browser internals, back and forth and do that. But it does some additional security bounds checking or something that just makes it really slow.
Ooh.
So the upcoming WebAssembly PR is going to make that a bit faster by using some freaky WebAssembly things that I don't totally understand.
That's the way.
I think it's like SIMD, single instruction, multiple dispatch. It's some of the stuff that like media decoders use in order to be really zoomy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
I don't understand it, but I don't have to understand it because it works enough.
Right. So the basic idea is it shouldn't be a massive disruption, but yes, it's going to be annoying to the individual, but it's the
very annoying for the scrapers.
Yeah, the main purpose is spread out across lots and lots and lots of requests from these scrapers. That's going to be far more annoying than just, it's like a slight delay to get to the website.
Basically, yeah. And it's also specifically designed in order to antagonize some of the ways that the scraper networks work by the input to the proof of work function containing your client IP address. It's like the challenge value is a whole bunch of request metadata put into a SHA-256 sum that's sent as the challenge. You are always able to take an HTTP request and get the same challenge value. So, it works out enough.
Wait,
There's some
can you explain
sketchy logic to get it there. Yeah.
Can you explain that a bit more?
Okay. I have a page on this.
Okay.
Let me just pull it up so that I can make sure that I'm saying things that are accurate. Yeah. I have a why proof of work page. And this page it spells out a bunch of it spells it all out, but I was inspired by Hashcash, the email spam thing, and it takes your challenge, it puts a constantly incrementing number, which for reasons which are hilarious to Brits and Australians, is called a nonce, but is not hilarious to Americans.
Less
And
hilarious
the
here, but
combination-
I'm aware of what it means in the UK.
The American definition is number used once.
For anyone who is unaware of what the UK definition is, it just means pedo.
Yeah. But
unfortunate
the challenge
coincidence.
value, the challenge value is based on like what language your browser is set to, your IP address, your user agent string, the date of the current week's Sunday,
Right.
the public signing key for Anubis's JSON web tokens, and the challenge difficulty. Eventually, I'm going to refactor this. I'm going to have to do some more like tenuous logic, like putting if the client was IPv4 or IPv6 at the front of the string, because happy eyeballs is a thing and it will cause weird issues. Oh god, happy eyeballs.
Happy eyeballs?
So many ISPs will only give you IPv4.
Okay.
If you're on a phone, you will only get IPv6.
Right.
But there are many clients where they have both IPv4 and IPv6. And in order for it, and at the OS level, when you make a connection out that for a record that has both IPv4 and IPv6, it will use an algorithm that is unironically real life, actually named Happy Eyeballs, in order to have IPv4 and IPv6 race each other, and whichever one completes first is the one that's used.
Okay.
And sometimes in very bad cases, you can actually have a connection get formed to the server, and then Happy Eyeballs kicks in and changes you from IPv4 to IPv6 or vice versa. And then you can run into a case where you get a challenge made for your IPv4 address, but you switched to IPv6 under the hood. So Anubis, when it's verifying the challenge, calculates, this IP address is not what the challenge value is not what I expected. Maybe the IP address changed. I'm going to assume the client is being malicious and display a vague error message that said something went wrong. And that causes a lot of fun, but I'm going to figure out how to fix that eventually.
It sounds like every step along the way, it's just some new issue that in your initial setup was never really a consideration because it was just supposed to be one thing used on just your server.
Yeah.